Terence was on a podcast somewhat recently, maybe about a month ago, and almost kind of discredited his best win to date against Errol Spence, kind of saying that he doesn't think Errol Spence is a Hall of Famer. Just what are your thoughts on that? And is Errol Spence a Hall of Famer in your opinion if it stops today?
I don't think so. I don't think he's done enough to merit that. I think that by calling him a Hall of Famer, you're discrediting a lot of very, very good fighters that should be called that. Terence obviously is, or should be. He's gonna be, but not Errol. Errol coming out of the Olympics, he and Marcus Brown were my favorites to win a world championship, and they did. But I think that maybe the accident derailed him a little bit, not only in boxing wise, but in people's minds too.
It is. So you say that Terence is a Hall of Famer. Is that? I mean, but his best win is Errol Spence. I would say, right? I mean, it's kind of.
I think his defenses, how he did it and who he did it against, and no, they're not a lot of big names, but I think that he controlled the 40-pound division, and he's controlling the 47-pound division. No, he hasn't fought some of the stars of today, but then again, people keep asking for fights that can't be made. I think that he merits being considered.
We've talked about this fight before, when it was rumored, obviously him against Canelo. I know back then you told me you don't see it. There's, weight classes for a reason. He's just kind of a smaller guy. That's just kind of what it is. Do you still feel that way?
Absolutely. I think he's a great fighter, but Bob Foster was also.
Yeah.
He's moving up to a guy that has never been hurt, other than a fluke punch by Jose Cotto. He's moved up and fought some of the best punchers in the bigger divisions and controlled them. So it's a tough task for Terence.
How does Canelo get it done against Terence then? Because saying is right. Canelo has issues with movers and boxers and stuff, which is clearly what Terence is going to try to do. But
he's going to have to stop.
Say again?
He's going to have to stop. It's a 12-round fight. He can't move. He can't be on his bike the whole night. If he wants to win a fight, and he wants to be considered like he tried, he's going to have to stop. I think it's a blueprint of every Canelo fight since the Bivol fight. After about 4 or 5 rounds, 6 rounds, it's a sparring match. He's taking it easy on guys. He doesn't want to knock some of them out. He beats on some. He doesn't beat on others. But he's controlled. Every fight after the Bivol fight has been a sparring match for him after the 6th round.
Yeah. You brought up Bivol. Bivol recently gave up his WBC belt. Didn't fight David Benavidez. It sounds like he already kind of had the trilogy in lock with Beterbiev, regardless of the belts, right? So it seems like that was his plan, regardless of what the WBC decided. But I don't know. Do you see that as like a people like like a duck, like he was trying to avoid him?
Not. Listen, you're talking about 2 great fighters and a guy that really got a belt handed to him again. Okay, I think that David is a great fighter, but why didn't number 1 or number 2 fight for the belt? Okay, he would have beat number 2, but why don't they fight for it? At least then the people can say, he earned the belt. Everybody keeps saying that things are given to him. I think that the trilogy is good for boxing. We've had some great trilogies in the past, and I think these first 2 fights, it merits a 3rd fight. I mean, they were close enough that it merits. If it would have been one-sided fights, then maybe not. But both of them are points, right? I mean, points apart. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that it's a good thing. Forget about the money. Forget about everything. When these guys retire, they have enough money. Their legacy and what they accomplished and how they accomplished it, I think, will be something they can look back on and be proud of.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. Just last subject. Gervonta Davis. I heard you talk about kind of the knockdown taking the knee rather,
right.
And I believe you said that you kind of.
I agree with it. I said it before the New York Commission said it, but I agree exactly what they said.
Right. Now he's rematching Lamont Roach, but prior
is
to
that going to happen?
It sounds like that's the rumor. In July he's rematching
that's
Lamont. That's the rumor again.
Don't be surprised if he beats him this time, and then they have a 3rd one.
Right. I was gonna say. I mean, he alluded to the fact that Jake Paul confirmed it that, Jake Paul was gonna be the guy after Lamont had Gervonta beat Lamont. Tank doesn't seem like the guy who cares about legacy in the sense that boxing fans and kind of purists, talk about it, right? Like fighting the best at their best, kind of like that type of thing. Do we just have to kind of accept that Gervonta is going to kind of do what Gervonta wants? And
wait a minute, did I understand you right to say that Jake was going to fight Gervonta?
Jake Paul was going to fight Gervonta Davis.
That's dumb. I don't think that it would ever happen even if it was talked about. That's crazy. You're talking about a 5'6" guy against a heavyweight or a cruiserweight. What's Jake going to come in at? 200? And he fought really probably one of the best. Did he fight Floyd? He did fight Floyd, didn't he?
His brother fought
Floyd.
Floyd.
His brother fought
Yeah.
Floyd. Okay. That's a crazy fight. That's just like the Terence, and even worse than the Terence and Canelo fight. Not because it's a better fight, but just because it's like I said, a midget against a big dude. I mean, Gervonta is 140 pounds. That to me is the most he can handle fighting at. For me, anyway, to look as good as he's looked in some of the other fights. Going above that weight, I think is going to be a little too much for him.
Yeah.
And listen, he's one of my favorite fighters.
Right.
I've always said it.
Yeah, he's a fantastic talent.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of crazy to hear that Jake Paul be like, "Oh yeah, we were scheduled to."
But I read though that Julio Cesar Chavez is going to fight him. Is that true?
That is true. That was just announced today, actually.
That's more of a fight that seems to be more equal.
It's going to be at 200. It's going to be at cruiserweight,
Yeah,
so it's going to be at 200.
Julio has destroyed his career with all the antics and all the things that he's done. So it should be a how can I put it? It's not going to be a boxers or a boxing fans fight, but it's going to be entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll have the names. It'll have Julio, Oscar will be there,
good.
all that stuff.
I think that's good for both of them.
For sure. Abel, man, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time. To tell the fans where they can follow you and see, obviously, the fight tomorrow night.
We have several fighters fighting right now out of my gym, Summit Gym, new gym that I opened up in Big Bear. Sadrine Akhmedov fights tomorrow night. Filip Hrgovic is being mentioned to fight. I believe Frank Sanchez is talking about. Hopefully we get on that big card, that card with Usyk and Dubois. Hopefully we get on that card. If that happens, I'll be in London. I have another young man named Ronnie Mancia who fights out of Big Bear. He's 3-0. So getting back in it slowly.
Hey, man, it's good to have you back, brother. Thank you so much for your time, brother. Appreciate it.